My girlfriend said, "My male best friend is staying over for a few days. If you're uncomfortable, you can get a hotel." I didn't argue, just said, "Okay, understood." That night, I packed my things, left the keys on the counter, and did something she'll never forget. I met Jenna on a Tuesday in line for tacos. She laughed at my dumb joke about cilantro tasting like soap and wrote her number on a napkin that fell apart in my pocket. We started slow. Coffee, bookstore dates, long walks where you learn someone by how they talk about their past. I liked that she was direct, honest, or at least I thought so. 6 months in, we decided I should start spending more time at her place. Not moving in, but toothbrush status, a drawer, the kind of comfort where you know which cabinet has the good mugs. It felt like we were building something real. Until the night she said the sentence that rearranged the furniture of my brain. She came home, tossed her keys in the little dish by the door, and said, almost like she was telling me the weather, that her male best friend, Ethan, would be staying over for a few days. He was between apartments, job transition, complicated stuff, nothing to worry about. Then, she added a line with a smile that wasn't a smile. "If you are uncomfortable, you can leave. Not we can talk, not let's figure this out. Just a choice wrapped in politeness. He stays, or I go." The kind of sentence that sounds reasonable until you hear yourself in it disappearing. I didn't react. Not then. I told her, "Yeah, sure, let's talk about it after dinner." And while the pasta boiled, I did something I wish I had learned younger. I wrote it down, the wording, the tone, the feeling in my chest that wasn't jealousy, but something colder. I learned the hard way that when people later rewrite the scene, your notes keep the room from tilting. We ate, she joked, I cleaned the pan. And then we sat on the couch, the one that sinks in the middle like it's tired of holding people up. I told her I wasn't comfortable with a male friend living in the same space with us, even for a few days, because this is our space. I said it simply, not a speech, not a case for the prosecution, just a boundary. I told her I respected her friendships, but the way she framed it made me feel like a tenant in my own life. I asked for alternatives. Could he crash with another friend, short-term Airbnb? I would even help with cost for a few nights. I wasn't shutting a door. I was asking for a different one. She looked at me like I had just told her I was afraid of the dark. She said Ethan was like a brother. She said I was being insecure. She said real partners trust. She said I was making it weird. And then she said the part that made my hands go still. "If you cannot handle my life as it is, you can leave." Not we. You. Like I was auditioning for a role, and the part required silence. I told her I wasn't leaving. I told her I was asking for respect. She rolled her eyes, said I could sleep at my place for a few nights if I needed space. She went to the bedroom and shut the door. I heard the lock slide. I don't know if she meant me to hear it. I did. I slept on the couch. In the morning, I made coffee and went for a run. Running is how I line up the words in my head so they don't trip me later. When I got back, she was at the table with her laptop. She had the sunny voice on, the one you use when you want credit for being calm. She said Ethan would arrive that night. She had already told him. She hoped I could be mature. I texted my older brother. He's the kind of person who never tells you what to do, but he asked the question that gets under the furniture. He wrote back one line. "What would you tell your future son to do here?" I stared at the screen. Then, I took a shower, put on a clean shirt, and did something you only do when you want to be sure you heard right. I asked her one more time to talk. I repeated my boundary quietly. I told her if Ethan needed a place for a night emergency, I would step out, regroup, and come back to a conversation. But moving him in for days without my consent in a shared space wasn't going to work for me. I said it without anger, without a negotiation voice, just the truth. She smiled like she had learned something about me that made me smaller. She said, "Thank you for communicating your feelings. Ethan is still staying. If you are uncomfortable, you know where the door is." Silence. When it's honest, Sounds like a decision. I didn't argue. I didn't deliver a closing statement. I packed the few things I had in that drawer. Toothbrush, 2 t-shirts, a paperback I was halfway through. I took a photo of the note I had written the night before and emailed it to myself. Time stamped. Not because I planned a trial, because people forget, and I didn't want to. I told her I was heading out. She said, "Okay." No reach for my hand, no pause. I walked down the stairs and felt something shift back into place in my chest. Not pride, not victory. Just the quiet click of a door that closes on a room where the air was getting thin. That night my phone lit up. "Ethan is here. He is grateful. I hope you can be happy for us." I didn't respond. I put the phone face down and made myself a stupid grilled cheese that I burned a little, and I ate it anyway because sometimes you have to let something be imperfect and still be enough. Morning brought the messages you expect. You're being dramatic. You're punishing me for having friends. You are controlling. Then, a voice note in the bright tone she uses when she talks to dogs. "Come back. Let's not make this bigger than it is. He needs me. Be a team player. Team." That word stuck to my teeth. Teams plan plays together. Teams don't call you from the bench after they already changed the lineup. I texted her 3 sentences. "I respect you. My boundary is firm. When he leaves and you are willing to discuss shared decisions, we can talk." She responded right away. "If that is your position, maybe the relationship is not right," I wrote back. Maybe. For 2 days, silence. On day 3, I got a text from a number I didn't know. It was Ethan. He said thanks for being a decent guy about this. Then he added a line that didn't fit anything Jenna had said. "I'll be out by tomorrow." I never planned to stay longer than that. Sorry for the mess. I stared at the screen. A lot of things could be true at once. Maybe Jenna had exaggerated the length. Maybe he had. Maybe the truth was in the middle, where most confusion lives. But the part that mattered hadn't changed. She made a unilateral decision about our shared space and tried to dress it in virtue. And when I said no, she made me the problem. The next day, Jenna called. No text. A call with a voice that sounded like the end of a storm, where you are not sure what to do with the sun. She said he was gone. She said she missed me. She said she had time to reflect and admitted she had handled it badly. She wanted to meet and talk. I said yes. I believe in letting people bring their best case after they have sat with themselves. But I also brought my notes, not to accuse, to remember. We met at the coffee shop where she once told me I had kind eyes. She looked tired. She started with the good words. "I never meant to hurt you. He is like family. I thought you would understand." Then she slipped and said the part that was the truth. I didn't want to ask permission. I nodded. I thanked her for the honesty. Then I told her mine. I don't want a relationship where boundaries are called permission, where voicing a need is called insecurity, where my role is to be supportive of decisions I didn't get to be part of. I said I didn't think we should continue. She cried. I didn't. Not because I'm cold, because I had already done my crying the night I slept on the couch. We walked outside. She asked if we could try again with rules. I said rules come from respect, or they just become new ways to keep score. I wished her well. I meant it. For a week, I felt that strange mix of relief and grief you get when you stop carrying something heavy. It had shaped my shoulders. When it's gone, you stand taller, but you also miss the weight because it gave you purpose. Then the messages started from her friends. You broke her heart. You are scared of competition. You hated Ethan for no reason. I didn't answer. I don't do group chats about my life. If they were looking for a villain, I couldn't help them find him in me. 2 months later, I saw Jenna by accident at a market. She was with Ethan. They looked genuinely happy. It took the last hook out of my chest that I didn't know was still there. Maybe this was always where she was headed. Maybe she was playing long denial. Maybe none of that matters. What mattered was, I didn't abandon my own respect to keep a seat at her table. Here is what I learned for the version of me who will forget. And maybe for you, if you are standing in a kitchen hearing a sentence that sounds like a choice, but is actually a door closing behind you. When someone treats your respect like a suggestion, stop arguing and speak your boundary once, clearly. Write down the facts when the scene feels slippery. Memory is kind to guilt and cruel to the person who kept quiet. If your place in the relationship shifts from partner to background noise, that is data. Background noise doesn't get consulted, it gets turned down, and you are not a volume knob. Setting a boundary about who lives in your shared space is not jealousy. It is a claim to the dignity of your own home. It is not controlling to say no to a situation that makes you smaller. It is self-respect. Silence is not a weapon when it is used to avoid a fight. It is a statement that the conversation already happened and the answer was given. You do not have to make your case to a closed door. And if you need one line to carry out with you, take the one my brother texted me. What would you tell your future son to do? If the advice is better than what you are giving yourself, change one of them. I wish Jenna well. I wish Ethan well. I wish my past self had learned earlier that the most loving thing you can do for a relationship is tell the truth at the beginning of the problem, not at the end. If you are in a version of this story, I'm not telling you to leave. I'm telling you to choose the version of you that you would be proud to watch. Sometimes that person stays and fights for the right reasons. Sometimes that person packs the drawer into a backpack and walks down the stairs into a night that feels empty and honest. That was me. I chose the stairs. And for the first time in a long time, the air met me where I was.